Mafia in boxing part 2. The boxing game is absolutely corrupt. I was super naive to think that fight fixing ended in the 60s and 70s, maybe 80s, but fam, this thing has been going on until today. I thought Deontay Wilder was talking nonsense when he was talking egg weight. When I watched this video, I said, listen, I don't believe Deontay Wilder, but I'm open to hearing what he's got to say now. All boxing fans know how corrupt they are, yet we still tune in. This is a mazzoline, yeah? Roll the tape. Yo guys, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't done it already, please click the subscribe button. Follow me across all my social media platforms. But without further ado, let's get straight into this Mafia boxing part 2. We had a podcast with Patrick David and also Charles Farrell. Charles Farrell, he's been in, well, he's quote unquote a fight fixer for the last 20 years in boxing. Basically means he's been a part of the whole fight fixing game for quite some time. One of his fighters who was managing at the time was supposed to be fighting Riddick Bowe, and this is where it gets a bit sticky. He then tells his fighter, look, listen, all I'm saying is, yeah, Riddick Bowe is gonna walk through you like literally like a steam train. Riddick Bowe is gonna crash, bang, wallop your ass there, and you ain't gonna win this fight. So why don't we do this? Why don't you drop in round 1? How about that? We drop in round 1, and what that would mean is that we could, I don't know, me and or whoever, you know, powers that be or the rich families, they can bet money on that fight. They could bet money for a first round KO because the odds are slightly higher. It's quite rare to get a first round KO. Nevertheless, he told his fighter to drop in that first round. Of course, the fight at the period of time didn't materialize, so thank God we weren't in a situation where a fight was rigged. But it's that sort of thing. The fights he was talking about was the opening fights coming into the card, whereby it's like it's a heavy favourite. It's not like millions of pounds for the most part. It's sort of the entry fights on the card, that the 6 o'clock fights. And what they do is the person who is the underdog in that fight, the heavy favorite will be, I don't know, 3 to 1 odds. The underdog will be, I don't know, 8 to 10 or 2 1 odds. Okay, which basically means that if you put £2 million, you get 10 million, you'll get 20 million pounds returns. If it's 8 to 1 odds, if you put £2 million, you get 16 million pounds returns. Crazy, yeah. And they put a lot of money onto like these small fighters, yeah, or these sort of unknown quantities. Bag a lot of cash and keep it stepping, yeah. The fighters, they'll say, look, it's better in it for you because you'll earn a lot more money long term, and everyone on the table is eating. And you know what? One example that he's give to this day is Timothy Bradley versus Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, yeah, is a guy at the period of time when he was facing against Timothy Bradley was reportedly, or allegedly, shall we say, going through a tax problem, and lo and behold, bit of shenanigans in the background, 2 judges were, you get the gist, and then the fight was given to Timothy Bradley. Timothy Bradley was a huge underdog at the period of time. He said that you only need 2 judges. Now, the first way I'm going to talk about is fight fixing and how to fight fix, or the avenues that these sort of people, powerful people with a lot of money and some really loony friends, shall we say, is through judges. So you only need 2 judges to get a secured win. 1 is a bit risky, but 2 for a secured majority decision win. If you know that this is a fighter, for example, like a Floyd Mayweather or a Tyson Fury, who you expect to go the distance, okay, that is an avenue you can take. Another avenue you can take as well, okay, there was 3 that he mentioned. Another avenue you can take is paying the fighter himself, or one of the fighters, to force the victory for his opponent so that they can all eat in the end. If you get £10 million a fight, or no, that's too much. If you get £1 million a fight for fighting someone, okay, and I can give you 20 million, or not 20 million, but I give you another 5 to 10 million pounds on top of it if you drop in a certain round, yeah, or you just need to get hit. Like in boxing, you can dive basically. So, like in football, a dive is basically if somebody doesn't hit you, you drop to the floor. In boxing, the aim of the game is to render your opponent unconscious, so you're definitely getting hit, and there's multiple opportunities to get yourself dropped to the floor. So you can tell one of the fighters that if you drop in this round, etc., we'll give you, I don't know, £2 million, we'll pay you for doing that, and we'll look after your family handsomely. An example I mentioned in my last video was the Sonny Liston Phantom Punch, the famous Phantom Punch where Muhammad Ali he basically threw a jab or something and he didn't even touch him and he dropped to the floor. And Sonny Liston, for those of you guys who don't know, he was one of the best heavyweights in terms of ability during that period of time. You know, heavy favourite for that fight. Muhammad Ali was a huge underdog, and Sonny Liston was associated with the Lucchese family, which is one of the 5 families in New York City. Okay, the reason why how he was associated was his manager had heavy links to that group, as well as that it was reported that he was a debt collector prior to getting into boxing for the Lucchese family. Fight fixing is like getting taught how to make babies in school. Yeah, when you learn how to make babies in school, you come home and you start questioning everything your parents teach you. It's one of those scenarios. Moving on, yeah. The third way which people fight fix is through the referee. They can separate a fighter, or they can do little tactics like deduct points for random little stuff. Point example is Chisora versus Dana White the second time. Chisora was doing everything pretty much by the book, you know, standard, etc. And the referee was telling him, no, like you're striking below the book, you're striking below. And to my understanding, but where I was looking, he wasn't actually doing that. And I had replays and cameras, etc. For Sky Sports Network. So it didn't look like that was going on. However, the referee pulled a point from him. Yeah, I think it was 1 or 2 points. I can't remember the exact scenario, but then Chisora actually came out and had to basically knock Dana White out because he was down on the cards in his logic, so he had to go all out attack, leaving himself exposed, got caught, flush, knockout. And this is how the little things, like little scenarios where if the referee was coerced or incentivized into tampering with that fight, that would have a huge impact on the outcome. Huge impact on the outcome. Crazy things are happening in this boxing game. Now, what is the solution? In UFC, Dana White, you can't actually, it's difficult to fight fix because everything's under one centralized system, and if there's a referee that does anything that's a bit more corrupted, Dana White can get that referee or get that judge and take him out, and then get a new one in, and he will get a new one and say, look, like, if you don't fix up, we're just going to replace you. And they have the same sort of referees or the same sort of judges on retainer, because if they don't, these things can come about. Lennox Lewis versus Hasib Rahman or what was it? Yeah, I think it was Hasib Rahman. That fight took place in the 90s, and there was one judge that came in and gave a wild scorecard, a wild, crazy scorecard, yeah. And that was the first time we saw that female judge, and that was the last time we saw that female judge. Put it this way, that female judge more than likely was a plant. More than likely was somebody who was put there to influence the fight in a negative way. I'm saying it, yeah. Well, allegedly, yeah. But we can make an influence and believe that this is actually what's going on. Anyway, what's the solution? Boxing being under one centralized system, having one belt system and having a World Boxing Board of Control, where you've got like accredited referees that have got accredited, like literally you can check their credentials alongside their prehistoric, you know, decisions, etc. And a person or promoter can look at that and say, look, we don't want this referee, and justify it. Say, look, we don't want this referee because he, in one of my previous fighters, he done us dirty. We don't want this guy, or he's very, very biased. We don't want this guy. So sort of that kind of approach. Have just one centralized system, a World Boxing Board of Control, a one belt boxing system, whereby the referees is like not a handful, but to get into refereeing or judging, you gotta have to do a lot, yeah. And to get to the top means that you're gonna have to ref small from short. You're gonna have to go right to the top. You can't just have one person jumping in one time you nobody's ever heard of, and later on you've never ever seen them again. There has to be some level of control and a track record of good decisions in previous fights. Nevertheless, that is a wishful thinking. We know how boxing is. Boxing was created by the Mafia, as Adi would say in the video that we did, the OTC podcast.
Boxing is a sport that was built by the Mafia in America.
Yes.
Right. So this is
yeah.
You know, this is a Mafia sport race. I mean, they controlled it. They still probably do to an extent control the sport that way. So nothing will shock me when it comes to boxing. Nothing at all. Do I think the Americans wanted to see a heavyweight fight in the Middle East? No. Do I think Bob Arum really wanted it to go on over there? No. You know what I mean? I've never seen Bob Arum so happy for a fight to not happen in the Middle East, and all of a sudden the fight's happening in America. And
well, I'm just got to be hopeful, okay? Yeah, hopeful that in the future these sort of things can be cleaned up. But this has been Mafia in Boxing Part 2, okay? Hopefully this will be the last one, because I don't want no more twists and turns and other conspiracy theories in boxing, because fam, it's going to be peak, yeah? Nevertheless, please like and subscribe if you haven't done it already. Hit, you know, message me in the comments, let me know what you guys think as well of the video. But peace, love and prosperity, and I'm gonna catch you guys in a bit. Peace.